Right now, in a town you've probably never heard of, it's illegal to walk your camel down Main Street after dark. In another town, you legally cannot eat fried chicken with a fork. In a third, you cannot leave your house wearing a hat that might startle a horse. These laws sound absurd, but the real answer for why they're still here is far stranger than nobody bothered to erase them. Something in you already knows a rule exists before you're told what it is. Something in you follows it anyway, even a rule this small, even a rule this old. Why? To understand it, you have to go back. Not to a courtroom, not to a legislature, but to a fire tens of thousands of years ago, where a group of humans sat in a circle and decided, without writing anything down, what was and wasn't allowed. Anthropologist Christopher Bain spent decades studying small-scale societies that still live close to how early humans once did. What he found wasn't chaos, it was law. Unwritten, unspoken, but strict. A hunter who took too much meat for himself. A man who tried to dominate the group. These people weren't punished with prisons. They were punished with something worse: silence, mockery, exclusion. Your ancestors didn't survive because they were strong. They survived because they were watched. And being watched meant being judged against a shared rule. That's the part modern life hides from you. You think laws come from parliaments and judges. But long before ink touched paper, laws lived inside groups of people enforcing them on each other, one raised eyebrow at a time. So when a strange law shows up on a modern book, no forks with fried chicken, no camels after dark, you're not looking at a mistake. You're looking at a fossil, a frozen moment where a community decided something mattered enough to write down. The world moved on. The law didn't. Here's where it gets stranger. Psychologist Solomon Asch ran an experiment in the 1950s that still unsettles people today. He put a person in a room with several actors and asked a simple question: which of these three lines matches the line on the card? The answer was obvious. Anyone could see it. But the actors, one after another, gave the wrong answer on purpose. And the real subject, the only person in the room who didn't know it was rigged, often gave the wrong answer too. Not because they couldn't see straight, because some old, ancient part of their brain valued agreement with the group more than it valued being right. Feel that for a second. You have overridden your own eyes to match a room full of strangers. Not because you're weak, because for most of human history, disagreeing with the group wasn't a debate. It was a risk to your survival. That wiring didn't disappear. It just changed clothes. You don't sit around fires anymore. You sit in offices, in classrooms, in group chats. But the same ancient alarm still goes off when you're the only one who thinks something is wrong. Your heart still races a little before you raise your hand against the room. Your ancestors' fear of exile is still living in your chest, thousands of years later, disguised as social anxiety. So a law like you can't eat fried chicken with a fork isn't really about chicken. It's about a community, at some point, deciding what proper behavior looked like, and encoding it the same way your ancestors encoded rules around a fire. The method changed from gossip to legislation. The instinct behind it never left. Now here's the twist. You'd think that as societies got bigger, laws would get more rational. More laws should mean less superstition, less arbitrary judgment, more pure logic. But researcher Robert Cialdini's work on social norms found something almost the opposite. The bigger and more anonymous a group gets, the more people rely on rules, signs, and social cues to know how to behave, because they can no longer track each other's reputations the way a small tribe once could. In a tribe of 30 people, everyone remembers who cheated last winter. In a city of 3 million, nobody remembers you at all, so instead of memory, you get laws. Instead of a raised eyebrow around a fire, you get a sign on a wall, or a sentence buried in a municipal code from 1912 that somebody forgot to repeal. The absurd law isn't a glitch in the system. It's what happens when a tribal instinct for enforcing shared behavior gets stretched across millions of strangers who will never sit around the same fire together. And that explains something else. Why these laws almost never get removed. Removing a law, even a ridiculous one, feels like removing a boundary. And something ancient in you does not like boundaries disappearing, even boundaries you've never once thought about. Lawmakers know this too. Repealing an old rule takes effort, attention, and political will for a payoff that looks like nothing. So it sits there, untouched, not because anyone believes camels are a danger to Main Street. Because touching it costs more than ignoring it. You do this too, in your own life, more than you'd think. You keep rules for yourself long after the reason for them is gone. A habit your parents demanded, a way of speaking you were taught to avoid. A behavior you still edit out of yourself in public, even though the person who first judged you for it is nowhere near you anymore. You are, in a small way, your own outdated legal code. Carrying rules whose original purpose has expired, still enforcing them anyway, because some old part of your brain would rather follow a pointless rule than risk the exposure of breaking one. That's the real reason weird laws survive. Not bureaucratic laziness, not oversight. It's the same instinct that made your ancestors watch each other around a fire, stretched across centuries, wearing the disguise of legislation instead of gossip. So the next time you read about a town where it's illegal to walk your camel down Main Street after dark, don't laugh at the law. Laugh at how much of you is still standing in that circle, thousands of years ago, quietly making sure everyone follows the rules everyone else agreed to. Because somewhere back there, a group decided what counted as proper behavior. And somewhere in you, right now, you are still following it.